Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna go through the minutes. Just in total, we have, I don't know how many are here, something like 10, 11 sets of minutes. And just to kind of move things along. So we have minutes from January 7th. This is all in 2025, January 9th, January 14th, January 28th, February 11th, February 18th, February 25th, March 6th, March 11th, and March 25th. So do I hear a motion to approve all of those minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, are there any, I know I made, there were some typos that I gave to Brennan, and I think he corrected them all this morning, so whatever he looked at today.
I will add
they
as
were all-
amended.
Yeah,
that
as
motion.
amended, yes, okay. All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Make peace on your life.
Stalker,
Farrell, aye. Okay, the next item on the agenda is talking about the appointment of the dog officer, and I know that I think you know a little bit more about this, or Gabe. I know that we had received notification from the state licensing folks about the requirements to be the dog officer. So Nancy's been our dog officer for a number of years, but there are educational requirements that the Department of Agricultural, State Department of Agricultural Resources requires to be undertaken. And my understanding, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is there are a couple of outstanding courses, Nancy, that we can't reassign you as our dog officer until those are completed. So it's like for competency training and then education credits, I guess.
Yes,
Is there anything?
yeah, and the state had asked us to have you, or to ask us that we needed, you know, you have the email there. I haven't looked at the email
Okay,
since we got it first. I remember back in September, we had gotten a notification and I had emailed it to Becky to have Nancy complete that training. It was, one of them was close to home. It was only in Ludlow or Palmer. I may not be remembering that correctly, but to do that, and then to get back to us when it was completed. So I believe that's one of those
Right.
that is listed there.
right.
And so Nancy, that's why we had invited you in here, because we have to have the qualifications up to date before we can reappoint
I
designate.
took the class in 2016, everybody else, all the other animal control officers in the area. 2 days of dreadfulness at Dayton. A lot of people walked out, but anyways, it's just, the things they were asking us to do are things that anybody, I mean, that they were teaching people how to throw a leash on a dog. Very basic things. And then after the class, we didn't hear anything else. Carol, none of the regulars, you know, who will heard anything from anybody. And then all of a sudden, last September, I was sent in because I had a house with 57 cats in it down the street. And I had to find a way to get them spayed and neutered and stuff, so I was sending in applications for vouchers to the state. And the guy there, Kyle, called me back and said, you gotta fill out a new form, there's a new way to do it now. And I knew that there was continuing education classes, but during COVID, I had taken several of them. And they changed their website and erased them all, and there's not enough hours of the day. Every other animal control officer, not just, you know, this is not my only job, this is only like a little bit. So what they're doing now essentially is squeezing out the little one. I mean, there's like 3 animal control officers that aren't full time in the area. And they would like to make them all full time. And for me, it's not possible to do another thing in the day. I do Pelham, I do here for 24 years. I think. Goodness. Where I can't. Well, and I tried to talk to the girl, Sherry, who runs the thing, and she got really snippy and started bitching at me, and I was kind of offended. I mean, I'm not making money off her or anybody else, and she was like saying, kind of putting it like that, you know? I took a day out, 2 days out of my full-time job to go sit there and do that class that I learned absolutely zero, nothing. And then I found out that she was giving exemptions to people if she decided she wanted to, just like, exam, Carol. Got an exemption. She's full-time, and she didn't take one class since we go from that thing, and it's okay, I'm not mad about that, but it should be fair for everyone, and when I talked to, one of the representatives for the state, you know, I had to write a letter, and I started writing it, and then I started crying, so I had to stop writing it. But, I don't have any, you know, and the forms that they give you to fill out are ridiculous. I understand that there's bigger places than Shutesbury or Pelham. But, I mean, now they have euthanasia on these forms. I mean, I never euthanized anybody. And I feel like, you know, they didn't ask anybody that knew anything. They didn't say to Carol Hepburn, but help us, you know, show what could be on this form that would be useful. I don't know who they had to do it, but it was clearly not anybody that knew what they were doing. So that's what I got. When I told her that I had taken the classes during COVID, I took like 9 classes. She said, well, I'm not gonna I want more. And then Carol said, oh, she gave me an exemption. And I'm like, well, why am I doing this part-time when a full-time person doesn't have to do it at all? And I'm 68. I'm not complaining. I mean, I know, look at it. But I think rules should be the same for everybody or nobody. And I mean, if that's what you guys gotta do, then that's what you gotta do.
I
You
know,
know, that's okay with me. I mean, you know.
yeah, Gabe, I know you had a conversation with
I did.
Sherry
I-
Gustafson.
Yes,
Yeah,
I called her after, I talked to Nancy about the exemption.
Yeah,
And she said there are no exemptions.
Mhm.
So unfortunately, we have to abide by state
It's
law.
fine, it's fine. I mean, Carol has not taken any class. And the other person, I forgot what her name is now, but there's another person too.
The problem here is there's no record of you taking any classes.
No, they changed the lesson. Everything that I read.
2016 though is what we have.
That was the 2-day class of taking.
Yeah.
And then during COVID, I was taking classes at home, and then they changed their website. And it's all different website, everything was erased. Carol said, oh, no, I'm not gonna do that. And I said, you know, we can sit here and go together. She said, no,
So here's what I see, and the select board can correct me if I'm wrong.
okay.
When they reappoint you, they're saying that you're in compliance as far as the select board knows.
Mhm.
So are you willing to take the classes to get certified?
I don't know how I'm going to. I work full time. This is only like really part-time and I can't. I know that there's not enough hours in the week I work. You know, Dr. Katz just died. And I've been trying to keep the hospital going until they decide what they're gonna do with his stuff. So I'm doing all that and I still do Pelham. You know. So it's okay. I'm not upset about it. I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do, but I don't, I talked to Leslie about the possibility of taking the stray dogs up there. And she said that they charge a fee a year and that all they do is house them. They don't release them or do anything else. And that's not gonna help with the other stuff in town, but, you know, I'm sure you can find somebody in Shutesbury that can do all the same stuff I did. Not like it's, you know, difficult.
What does Pelham do? What's Pelham do? Excuse me, Pelham do?
It's a non-funded mandate and basically they just said they're not gonna do it. Non-funded, yes. We went to the police chief and he said, you know, that's crazy. You're only, you get $1,500 a year. What do they expect for $1,500 a year? You know, Carol gets 70,000 a year, but I'm expected to do the same thing.
so we would just move ahead then finding an alternative to the dog officer if you're okay.
That's why we're.
All right. And then you are also the inspector of animals and there's not as far as I
Yeah,
understand it.
That,
So you don't want to do that. if you're not
I
doing that.
can't
Yeah.
do one without the other.
Yeah,
kind of,
okay.
You know, they're both, they're gonna, you know, you'd be better off to get somebody to do both of them.
Yeah, okay.
It'd be easier for whoever did it, you know, they
Yeah.
have to learn how to do all the barn work and all the paperwork and
Yeah,
stuff like that. I don't, yeah.
I understand your frustration. Unfortunately, we're sort of, stuck here. Yeah,
About it, I felt bad because I don't know how you're gonna manage all that, because now you're gonna have to spend, I was trying to like, I don't know, I never put in bills for anything, but you're gonna have to spend money now, and just do that. Because it doesn't make it, and the animals any better.
mhm. Well, we appreciate all the years that you,
No, I
put
can't
in.
believe it, it doesn't even seem like it's been that long ago.
So, I know.
And it's like, oh my God,
Yeah.
I think about retirement, shit like that.
Yeah, well, thank you, Nancy, and thank you for coming this evening. I really appreciate it. Yeah. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is the appointment of Mary Jo Johnson to the Council on Aging, and I know Susan is here, Susan Milliger is here from, and then is Mary Jo here?
Can't see, but Jessica is also here from us, Council on Aging.
Who is, oh, and Jessica
Yeah.
Makepeace,
Yeah.
yep. So, yes,
They recommend or resignation.
I'm sorry, there we go.
Oh,
Oh,
okay, I'll
okay,
make-
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Gabriel. I make a motion, we accept Nancy Long's resignation from dog officer and animal inspector while thanking her for her time, her years of service.
Second.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Make peace on your eyes.
Stocker,
Carol, aye. Thanks for the reminder, Dave. Okay, so I know we got information about Mary Jo. Do you want to say anything, Susan, or?
Well, we've been thinking about getting Mary Jo on for some time, but we didn't actually make the final step.
Okay,
So we realized the changes, we needed a fourth person to have.
yeah. Okay. So any discussion, we know Mary Jo, so, any discussion about her appointment?
I don't have any, yeah, I'm fine with the appointment.
Okay. All right, so do I hear a motion to appoint, Mary Jo Johnson to the Council on Aging?
So moved.
second,
Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Make peace on your eye.
Stocker,
Carol, aye.
And thank you to Mary Jo for volunteering.
Yes, yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Susan.
Okay,
And Jessica.
now the Energy and Climate Action Committee was coming to talk about town electric vehicle charging, and do we have a presentation, Nate?
Yeah,
Heard-
before we start, can I just call us to order, if you don't mind? Is that okay, Rita?
Yeah, oh, yes, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just gonna call us to order at 5:23 because we got a quorum. And just for the select board, we got two presentations. First, we're gonna do EV chargers, which I think will be Isaac, and Eric's been part of that. And then once that's done, do a quick thing that Nate will lead in terms of our community choice aggregation. And Isaac, I don't know if Nick is here.
Yeah,
so
I don't see Nick now.
So why don't you kick it off, and then if Eric wants to jump in.
Well, did you maybe we could switch and I could give Nick a call and see if he could jump on.
Sure, okay.
All right, cool. I'll give him a call now.
Nate, tag, you're it.
All right, moving right along. Hello, everyone. So yes, in late January, ECAC joined Select Board to go over the aggregation plan for the town and gain your approval to open and close a public comment period on the plan, which is a fairly technical document. And that comment period ran from February 3rd to March 7th. And we had posted the plan to ECAC's website. And we also made hard copies available in various places. To my knowledge, there were no comments on the plan. So it was a pretty quiet period for feedback from the town on the aggregation plan. And as was mentioned, we're joining you this evening to see if the select board will approve the plan, at which point Colonial Power would file it with the DPU for state approval on our behalf. And that would start a 120-day clock where DPU would either affirmatively approve the plan or approve by default once we reach that 120-day period. As far as next steps after that, Colonial would then work with the town to schedule a public hearing where Colonial would take the lead in presenting CCA to the community. And that would really be just a nice forum for sort of discussing next steps and sort of introducing to the town with a little more detail what community choice aggregation will mean for the town. And I might pause there, but I'll just put a footnote in there in terms of supply bidding, making decisions about what sources of electricity we would offer the town. That conversation would take place after that, what I've recounted so far, where Colonial would meet with us to develop program options that we would specifically offer the town in our aggregation program once it launches. So I'll pause there and see if you have any questions or if other members of the committee want to supplement my summary of where we stand at this moment.
Yeah. I think the only thing I would add is the plan that you already approved is the plan exactly the same that we're asking you to approve today.
Yes.
Right. So we're just reapproving the same plan. Eric or Melissa, do either one of you have any questions?
I don't.
No, I don't think that we did look at it before.
So just because there might be people here who haven't heard about community choice aggregation, can you give us like that elevator speech about what it is, and what it's going to offer Shutesbury residents?
Absolutely. So, when people get their electricity bill, it's divided into two main parts. One part of your electricity bill covers the wires that bring electricity to your house. And the other part covers what electricity generation sources are generating those electrons that travel over those wires. And for a lot of folks, your electricity company decides where those electrons are coming from, whether that's a coal-fired power plant, maybe not so much anymore, but maybe a natural gas-fired power plant, or solar, or hydroelectric. And what community choice aggregation allows is it allows the town to take over that sourcing decision making so that we can offer to the town more choices for where their electricity is coming from. So we can offer greener options, and there's also a chance for us to bid for the cheapest electricity that's available on the market when we go out to bid. So really the object of this program, and many communities across the state are already doing this, is to increase the number of choices that community members can avail themselves of in where their electricity is coming from. And then the final thing the elevator is like approaching the ground floor here. This is, anyone can opt out of this program altogether. So we really are maximizing the choice set for community members by providing these other options. And it makes it easier to make a greener choice. And it also increases our ability to bid for the least cost electricity that we can get on the market.
Great, thank you. So, you're ready to vote? So do I hear a motion to approve the community choice aggregation plan that's going to be submitted to the DPU by Colonial on Shutesbury's behalf?
So moved.
Second,
Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Makepeace O'Neill, aye.
Stocker,
Farrell, aye. So now we'll bump back up to I think, are you ready now
Yes.
on the?
So
electric-
apparently, Nick Valori, he's the owner and representative from East Coast Renewable Energy, is in the waiting room. So if you can let him in, I guess.
He's here.
Oh,
He's
great.
here.
He's on. Great. So yeah, we had some outreach from East Coast Renewable offering, the, free installation of of electric vehicle town chargers in our town, based on grants available through the utility that we use, the National Grid Utility grant that they have. And the ECR, East Coast Renewables, would donate the remainder of like labor costs. So it would be at no cost to the town. Working with Nick, gathered a lot of information, and he will present briefly on that in a very succinct and great way. But in doing some due diligence, we reached out to all the different townships that he's working with, and they had nothing but good things to say about East Coast Renewables. So, and with all the information and how upfront and forthright that Nick has been in the process, I'm happy to have this information presented to the select board. So Nick, you go ahead, fire away.
Much, everybody, let me join here. Before I get going, I do want to apologize. I thought the call was at 5:30. That's why I was going on at 5:30. So I'm sorry about being a little bit late. The incentive that we currently have to offer is part of the Mass EVIP incentive for level 2 charging stations. And what it is we can install 2 level 2 charging stations at any location the town owns at no cost. If there's any additional cost, depending upon the cost, we will cover it. Okay, from what the towns we've been working with and for-profit businesses, there's been not one deal that we have said we cannot complete. The level 2 chargers are not the superchargers that we originally spoke about, because that incentive did get filled very quickly. But I can tell you that National Grid is moving forward to get that incentive submitted again and offered, but it's definitely not going to be anywhere close to where it was. The level 2 chargers are probably where you want them, primarily because people are going to take, 1 to 2 hours to charge what's considered a normal size battery. You will be able to charge people to charge those at those batteries, those charging stations. We do not, which is a little different than most of the other companies out there, we do not charge a monthly or an annual fee for the charging stations. We wrap everything into the actual cost of the charge to the consumer. So a lot of the municipalities out there have been receiving monthly and or yearly costs for the charging stations that really took away from the value add of having the charging stations. So what we do is we build it all in. And my analogy I give it to you is how my sales team works. And I'm just going to use Isaac as an example. Isaac makes no sales this month. Well, I don't pay him a paycheck. If nobody charges at your charging stations, you guys don't pay really anything. There'll be a little bit of a charge from the utility company, because as you know, there's always going to be electricity moving towards that charging station. So I eliminate everything. I do want to note that if your town has any electric vehicles for their fleet, National Grid is offering level 3 fleet charging stations, and those are for free also. I would recommend considering putting those at the police station, fire station, maybe the town hall, but also the DPW. The reason why I say definitely the DPW is that according to the Mass Highway, let me see here, Massachusetts Highway Association, and the president of that is actually the DPW person in my town, Milford, Scott Christofori. He did identify that there is going to be a big push for all highway department vehicles, or at least a percentage of them, to go 100% electric. So having level 3s there would be a good thing. Again, free based upon the current incentive. Last thing I want to mention is that if the town does not want to own and operate these charging stations, East Coast Renewable will be happy to own and operate it. Now, where I differentiate immensely is that if I own and operate it, I will give the town a profit share. Now, the profit share that I do is tremendously different than other people. Number one, my profit share is going to range somewhere between 25 and 50%, whereas everybody else is right around 10%. But more importantly, I don't know one company that will open the books up for you guys to confirm what the profit share is. So if you have 10 different locations with charging stations, I will put a bank account together for all 10. And at the end of the year, we'll call it January 15th. I'll release the bank statements to you guys to confirm what the profit share is. With all that being stated, I know I went crazy with all this, but I know, everybody's busy. So Michael, I'd love to be able to take questions, and you're the first one to speak up. So please.
Yeah, actually, I was going to frame it for the select board just to sort of get some context. So, we've been talking about EV chargers probably for a better part of a year, and Isaac got tagged as the lead. And then we got the offer from ECR. Isaac followed up. And Isaac and Eric have subsequently talked about it because Eric has been expressed interest in the EV chargers. Part of the reason we wanted to bring it to the select board is there's got to be a contract going forward, which would be the select board signing off on the contract as opposed to ECAC. And so at some point there needs to be a sort of a shift over in terms of this. The other thing I think that, Nick had mentioned, we've had discussions at ECAC about, where would we put them in town since we have multiple municipal locations, and then coming up at town meeting, like you guys will see if you review the warrant later, is one of the 3 warrant articles that feeds into the climate leader program that we're trying to be eligible for is a net zero vehicle preference, whereby the town basically commits to going electric if it has a choice based on a whole bunch of caveats in terms of function. And so if we go down that road, it seems like that we're going to want to encourage EV charging. We've discussed at ECAC, there's probably not a lot of people who are coming from 202 going to UMass who are going to spend an hour in Shutesbury charging. But there's going to be a need in town, whether for municipal vehicles or for people who live here. So that's sort of the frame. But if select board has questions, given that stuff, Nick is our expert, and Isaac, and I think Eric is up to snuff too.
Pressure's on here.
Pressure's on. But I actually had some questions, and one is that you mentioned, Nick, that the town share would be between 25 and 50%.
The profit share.
Profit sharing. How are those numbers arrived at? It seems like some a pretty big range there.
Well, when you say how's the profit share or how's the percentage derived?
How's the percentage? Well, either way.
So, let's talk about percentage to start, okay? I incentivize everybody, if I own these things, the more marketing you do, the higher the percentage I'm going to give you, okay? Now, that probably sounds crazy, but putting, signs, having the DPW put signs throughout the town when you first enter the town, EV charging stations, have a sign right by where the EV charging station's on the street. EV charging stations here, you put something on your website, put it on Google, wherever it is. Because the more people that go there, the more revenue we're all gonna make. Okay? Now, as far as how is the revenue generated? Basically, whatever we charge, so I'm gonna charge probably 40 cents a kilowatt hour to start. Whatever the electric rate is, and if I heard correctly, I think it was Nate, I believe, you guys are going into a third-party supply rate for everybody, so hopefully that rate is a great rate. And we'll use that plus whatever the delivery cost is, hopefully the all-in rate for the commercial property or the commercial charger is gonna be right around 20 cents. So the delta is what we keep, okay? Whatever other expenses possibly turn up will come out of that. The math normally works out that if you have 6 to 8 people charging per day, what's considered an average charge, which means that the battery is at 50% and you're gonna bring it to 80%. The numbers primarily work out that if you have 8 people charging per day for that, the town or the owner will get approximately $10,000 in revenue for that set of charging stations. So if you're putting in, again, just using 10 different locations and you have that kind of activity, it's 100 grand. Now, one of the questions I think Michael brought up is where are you going to put them? If you guys elect to move forward with us, we have to do a site visit. Now, we do the site visit before we submit for the incentive. Why do we do that? It takes a little longer to get the documents submitted, but the methodology that we have is we want to put together a perfect product. So when it does come out, it's there. So if you said to us, okay, Nick, we have these 5 locations we want to put charging stations. When we go out, we'll talk to you and we'll get an idea of what else you have. I think sports fields are key to have charging stations. I have kids, I have 2 electric vehicles, so everywhere I go, I'm charging. Whether I need it or not, because I'm going to be at the sports field for about 2 hours. So why not charge? Does that answer your question?
Well, I think my question was still like, with the select board in theory will be asked to sign a contract. So what are we signing a contract for? 25 to 50%? Sort of a vague way to write a contract, that's all.
Well, that's going to be basically, well, number one, I'll have your legal counsel draft up the operating agreement. Okay, so as long as I feel the operating agreement is realistic and fair, I'll sign it. As far as the difference between the 25 and 50%, again, it's all going to be based upon the marketing you guys do. And again, your legal counsel can draft it. And, again, as much marketing we can do, signage, internet, when you do something for the town, you can advertise. We got car charging stations. It's all about marketing. And
So
I
can
think that, yep.
Could I just ask a question? So there would be profit sharing if the town didn't own the charging stations. Is that correct? If you
Correct.
in ownership, but the alternative is that we own them? And
Correct. Truth
Just
be
owns
told,
them.
I think you're better off owning them. Because the level 3s, they do have expenses because they run 3-phase power, they get hot. The level 2s, there's really nothing you need to do with that. I'm going to be full transparent. You're better off owning these things. You're 100% yourself. I'm happy to own these. The goal is that I donate these things to the town. Things work well. And then you guys think of me when other energy opportunities come available, whether you want to put solar up or whatever it may be.
I do have a question. So, Nick, if we own them, what is the maintenance cost as things need to be replaced or such parts and things? What might that cost look like?
It's a great question. And unfortunately, you're not going to like my answer.
Mhm.
My answer, unfortunately, is going to be there's really no maintenance for the level 2s. But it's like when you drive a car, if you beat on the car, if you drive, crazy and I don't drive crazy, I'm not gonna have any maintenance or very little, and you're gonna have a lot of maintenance. So a lot of it has to do with how the town takes care of the charging stations. Now, what I've seen, only what I've seen, is that most EV drivers do take care of the charging stations. They're not beating on it. And beating on it is ripping the cords out or smashing things.
And likewise, so if you owned them, you would assume the maintenance for that, and it would come out as expenses or something before the
Correct.
profit share distributed?
Yep. Yep. So whatever maintenance is that we have to pay for, I write the check, we get it done. And at the end of the year, my bookkeeper will put together a QuickBooks for you. You can see everything. If you have a question regarding whatever it is, I'll provide all that stuff. I will, I'm gonna be honest with you, I will have an LLC set up, so we will have a $500 fee from the state, or really $520 from the state. I will have a bookkeeping fee, and maybe twice a year, I will drive out there to inspect. If I do own and operate the charging stations, I would expect that the DPW does clean the charging station. So if there's broken sticks or whatever it is, you want to get the blowers over there and, make sure the snow's removed and get the twigs out of there and so forth and so on. You want to treat this like yours, you know what I mean? The more people charge, the more you're going to make. That's the reason why most people are giving a 10% fee or 10% profit share, and they're not showing you the income and expenses. I'm willing to give you more than that, right? 25% or even up to 50% if you market it and you take care of it. And this way, the more people that go and charge, the more money you make.
Thank you. I did
Yeah.
not like that answer. That's a perfectly good answer.
Okay. I think where I didn't think you're gonna like my answer is that I can't tell you what the cost is gonna be because it's all gonna be based upon if people vandalize it.
No, and that was perfectly honest too. That's an honest answer. Yeah, I don't know.
I think where we're at, if I could suggest, is sort of like next steps. Like, I don't know if the select board has a sense, like, Eric, if you want to sort of take the lead on the transition from ECAC to select board, if you wanted ECAC to continue to participate, what Nick needs, like, just getting clear among the three parties what the next step is if we want to, or does the select board want to ponder it and then get back and figure it, like, what the reasonable next step is?
So why don't I explain what next steps are?
Great.
So the next steps is that Isaac and I or whoever, we get together and we identify different locations that you guys would consider putting charging stations. What you can name 20 different locations. And then we'll put together a contract, we'll call it. And then we'll send the contract over, and it's a non-binding contract. It just identifies, yes, this is what we want. Okay. Then what we'll do is we'll schedule a site visit. And quite frankly, we're doing site visits all this week and all next week. So we get that site visit done. And then at the site visit, the most important thing is understanding what kind of power is there. And if we can actually make the power from your electrical room and bring it to the charging stations. I've only experienced maybe a half a dozen in the last 3 months that we couldn't put charging stations in certain areas. So the majority of them will work. Now, once we do all that, it's probably about a two-week time frame. During that time frame, the board and the committees and the town can decide where you guys want the charging or chargers and where you don't. And then wherever you don't want them, we'll update the agreement and we'll send it out. It's about a 3-month time frame before the utility, in your case, National Grid, issues what they call the pre-approval. Now, part of that pre-approval process is not only with National Grid, it's with EVIP also. Once we get that pre-approval back, we'll send it to you. And this is, I'm talking as if you're owning it, okay? Once we get that pre-approval back, we'll send it to you. You guys will give us the okay to install, and we'll be installing within a week. In the event that I own and operate the charging stations, there's gonna be one extra step. We're gonna need your legal counsel to draft up the operating agreement and go from there. We do have to submit that to the utility. Our expenses, you will have an electrical bill, obviously. The electrical bill will be offset by the chargers. I would recommend notifying your insurance company that you do have these charging stations on site. God forbid that there is vandalism, the insurance should cover it. We don't need a operating agreement. We do give you a 3-year warranty on the equipment. The reason why we give you a 3-year warranty on the equipment is the charging stations only have to be on site for 3 years. So every 3 years, you can do what they call a rip and replace. So just to summarize what I just said, the next step is honestly just identifying the locations where you want the charging stations. We build an agreement, you sign the agreement, we do a site visit.
Okay, since our librarian is here, Marianne Antonellis, I was just, and we have a new, Nick, I don't know, I assume you've heard, we have a new library under construction. Were you anticipating having charging stations at the library?
So far, the different grant opportunities that we've looked in for charging stations required that the spaces be, that spaces that have the charging stations are limited to people who are charging, being able to park their home. And since we have limited parking, we don't want to, limit the spaces in that way. But we do have infrastructure for charging stations in 2 different locations in the parking lot. So that if we do find a charging station opportunity where we don't have to prevent people from who aren't charging for parking there, then we'd be happy to have.
Like this case, this wouldn't have those strikes.
Right.
Situation.
So we have the conduit. The other thing I have is, so tonight we're signing, well, you're probably signing a service agreement from National Grid. I don't know if it would impact the size of the transformer, that's needed. So we have to find that out.
And Rita, if I can jump in, one of the things we talked about on ECAC is just the different locations. So,
Mhm.
you know, we talked about the school as a possibility, the fire department as a possibility, town hall. It seems like it'd be prudent to do that, but I know Kristen has some thoughts about electric vehicles, so that's more conversation. We did talk about the old library site, the current / old library site, depending on the usage there. And I think that was it. We didn't think about, I don't know if we decided about DPW. Isaac, do you remember?
Yeah, I never got any feedback from Dave on that. So, and also, you know, I don't know, I guess Nick, also a good point between the two different, like the 2 different grants available, right? There's a level 2 and the level 3 charger. The level 3 is the fleet charger, meaning that, you know, these are for municipal vehicles only. The way that would work would be the town pays for the, you know, the electrical, like the electricity used, and it's, you know, kind of moderated by the town, with you know, with some sort of fob, a code, something like that. Whereas, you know, level 2, we could accomplish the same with like as a level 3, but it would just be with like a P card for each department, because it would be a pay on site. You know, there, you don't have to have a specific app for it. Nick can install any type of charging station at the locations, but he works with loop chargers, just his personal preference based on all the things available, and, you know, the reliability, the quality, as well as the accessibility, right? So, you know, the charging ports will work with all EV chargers that are currently on the market, et cetera. But yeah, there was no response from the DPW, but I'm sure you can get some feedback from them to see if that's a viable spot and where it would be. I would imagine that would be if we took advantage of the fleet charging option, but there is additional cost for the fleet charging. We would be, you know, I think from my information from Nick, it's, you know, it's a $1,200 annual charge per charging station. For the level threes, it's $600 per charging port because there's 2 ports on each charger. And the town would be liable for that. So if we went that way until the town like had electric vehicles for the different municipal entities, it would be kind of this rolling $1,200 cost per charging station until, you know, it was actually utilized by the municipality. So, yeah, that's all I have to say.
It's a great explanation. Just for the town, so the town knows, is that I would not be owning and operating the level 3 chargers because you can't charge any money, so I can't make any revenue case on that, okay? I also want to make a mention, I thought I said this, I may not have. In order to get the level 3 incentive for your fleet, you need to have at least one electric vehicle or an electric vehicle on order.
Okay, we're a little pressed for time, and this has been a lot of information. It sounds like the next step is to schedule the site visit, if I heard you correctly.
Somewhat. The next step is to identify the locations of the charging stations.
Right,
So this
which you
way I
would
can-
do, a site
Yeah.
visit.
So
Yeah.
this way I can build a non-binding agreement. You guys execute, and then we do a site visit.
So we're essentially agreeing to the locations or where we'd like to see them,
Yeah.
basically is what that non-binding will do for you. Okay.
Correct.
But that's before you do the site visit?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Can I just ask a question? If, do you, Nick, have any requirements that, electric vehicles only can use certain parking space? What Mary Ann's question about the library.
So, yeah, so that answer with the level 3, when the level 3 incentive for public use was available, there was no requirement that it had to be only electric vehicle parking. With the level 2 incentive, it's twofold. Not only is it only for electric vehicles, but it also has to be ADA compliant, so qualified.
Okay, that's good.
Okay.
Good to hear. Okay,
Okay, so is there anything we need to do this evening? Oh, Gail, I see a question.
Yes,
You could make it quick.
I'm wondering if the town were to own the stations, do we pay for the cost of installation or for ownership? It's still free?
No. It's all free. Yep. Well, excuse me, Gail, thank you for asking that question. The answer to the question is, as long as the incentive is still there and it doesn't fill up, then the answer is yes.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, I want to be very clear with that because the level 3 incentive filled up within 9 months. Okay, and people were like, well, I didn't get that incentive, and it filled, people took too long. So just want to be very clear, as long as the incentive is there and as long as the utility approves the incentive, as long as EVIP improves everything, then yes.
Thank you.
And just to play the thought experiment, we go through the motions, submit everything, and then it gets to, kind of crunch time. It approves some and some they don't, or I don't know if there would ever be an occasion where, if we had 3 bids out, right, or 3 applications, or they approve one and then they run out of money for another one, where the town is not contractually obligated or is to move forward on the one or ones that the grant would not cover, or no?
So the town can move forward any point in time. So when the utility and EVIP issue the pre-approval, if the town has cold feet, we just cancel everything. Okay, my rebuttal to that is gonna be, let me own and operate it. There's no reason for the town not to move forward with this. I look at this as a home run. You know, 5 years ago when EV first started coming out, I can understand maybe not putting it out, but there are more electric vehicles on the road right now. It is unbelievable. Quite frankly, most people won't even realize that the cars out there are electric because they just look like normal cars. So you'd be very surprised with how many electric cars are out there.
Also, just for the entire audience, that in the research that I've been doing, that the state of Massachusetts, if you're not aware, is going to moving to eliminating fossil fuel vehicles by 2050, and so they will ban the sale of new gas vehicles by 2035 to reach that goal. Now, that's not to say that resale of old cars that use gas is not going to happen, that people can't go across the border to New Hampshire or Vermont or another state that is selling new gas vehicles, but based on legislations within the state, it looks like things are going this way, and it would be really a good opportunity for the town to have the infrastructure in place for when, like thinking not just for the next 5 years, but the next 50 years,
Any other comments from the select board? What do you need from us tonight?
Me?
I'm looking to the,
I think maybe if Isaac and Eric, or if you want us to sort of send you a recommendation of the locations and then the select board can look at them, it sounds like we can then get something to send to Nick that both committees agree on.
okay,
Yeah, that sounds like the way to go.
okay.
Okay, cool.
Um,
And
all
before
right,
you move on, we just have to adjourn ourselves, Rita, when you're ready.
go ahead.
Okay, anyone want to move to adjourn, ECAC?
I'll move to adjourn.
Cool, second?
Second,
Cool. Assuming no discussion, all in favor? Gail?
aye.
Nate?
Aye.
Isaac?
Aye.
I'm an aye. We are adjourned. Thank you, Select Board. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you
Thank you.
guys. Really
Thanks.
appreciate
Thanks,
your
guys.
time.
Very
Bye-bye.
good, very informative.
Excellent.
Okay, so you'll, Eric will take the lead.
I get, yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
there's a lot of stuff here to kind of do.
You're the only one of us that has an electric car.
I know,
so
yeah.
that's fine.
I have my own,
You get it.
I have my own charger.
Okay, all right, good. Moving right along, the next item on the agenda is we have to, speaking of National Grid, we have to sign the
And the service.
National Grid Service Agreement. And Mary Ann, is that, yours?
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah, so that's for the library, and it's about putting the pole and putting in a transformer, and then working with the design team, the contractor to, so that there's, so the contractor is gonna put in the conduit from the pole to the transformer. And then, I don't know if it's National Grid or the electrician who puts in the wiring, but it's, anyway, that's gonna be underground. So this is just an agreement, and this needs to be signed and sent back to them, and then the invoice needs to be paid, before they'll schedule the pole. So,
Likely it's National Grid to the building, electrician from the connects the building.
right, right.
so the $44,619 comes out of the library
Right.
grant.
Right.
Okay.
It's an eligible cost,
Okay,
so,
It is in the warrant.
yes,
okay.
yes.
Okay, do I hear a motion to approve the electric service proposal from National Grid?
So moved.
Second,
Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Make peace on your life.
Dr. I.
Farrell, aye, and I'm gonna give it right to you, Mary Ann, since I have, today is the 8th.
It is.
We just need a copy for
Yeah.
our records.
Yes. Thank you. I'll leave a copy in the town administrator's box.
Yes,
Okay.
that'd be great. All right, excuse me. The next item on the agenda is, the execution of the Community Compact Cabinets Information Technology Grant. And, this, was, a very pleasant surprise. And I give a tremendous amount of credit to Gail Huntress, who this was not an MLP, our municipal light plant. They weren't doing it, but rather Gail, because of her network of IT people, decided that it would be a great idea that to apply for an IT upgrade. And so she put in the application, and we were awarded $15,795. And it is specifically for a municipal meeting space IT upgrade. And so I'll just run through very quickly the $15,000. What she spelled out included equipment for a rally bar, audio conferencing system, Logitech Tap, a 75-inch UHD.
Samsung.
Yeah,
We actually
Samsung
expand
commercial,
that.
yeah.
We got that.
Wall mounts, cabling and connectors and professional installation services. So, and then also includes, paying for, licensing, software licensing subscription for 2 years. And then after that, so that Zoom rooms are Microsoft Teams rooms. So, I think the plan was that it would be for this room, so it's, for
This exact situation.
this exact situation. You know, there was some discussion, is there any other municipal meeting room? But the library is not really a municipal meeting room per se. You know, it's where we're gonna have our meetings and then other town
Committees.
boards. There aren't a lot of the boards meeting in person, but we meet and we do a hybrid, and we want to continue to be able to do hybrid meetings, so.
And we also haven't really had a good overly functional space, so other committees feel comfortable doing it. So
Right.
this may be
So
that.
this would be, and I think you indicated you have included in your budget, money for equipment. So we need to execute the agreement, but I just want to, mention that while we were, this morning at the reception for Haley, you know, a few people approached me just about this room, and it's been, obviously, I mean, when Gabe started, we said, doing something with this room beyond just improving the technology is really important. So I think you know, what I'd like to see us do in addition to this is ask town meeting for some funds to do some upgrades in this room, because I don't know if you were here this morning, it's like when there are a lot of people in here, it's like crazy. You can't hear anything. The room is not particularly attractive. So that's something that I think Gabe and Haley, we're gonna talk about. And I think, you know, we could work out the timing such that we're doing this installation and with some improvements in this room.
Yeah, the building
That-
committee, since we gotta get them on, yeah.
Yeah, well, I did just have a brief conversation, because I know they were approached, and the building committee they really don't have, they need to do electrical upgrades, so they don't have the funds. They're gonna be using their money for doing the electrical upgrades. What they did indicate, or at least, Steve Dalmas, who I talked to this morning, and I assume, I saw Frank was here, that the building committee, could probably advise us. But we're not gonna tap into their funds. So. Does that
I
sound
think that's a
reasonable?
great idea, and we learned from our listening session that the owl works better in the gymnasium of the elementary school than it does in this room. It shouldn't be the case, but
Right.
it did,
Right,
yeah,
yeah.
it's, it helps us to know that we need to do something.
Brendan also mentioned to me that when he's trying to listen to the meeting, that we can't be heard out here in the
Yeah, in the audience.
So it's very
Mhm.
hard for him to do minutes. So having a microphone that we can pass around to people.
Or even
Mhm.
stations somewhere.
Or
yeah.
stations, right?
Yeah.
And he suggests that we look into that.
Okay, as part of this. Okay,
Yeah.
that's a great idea.
Lipstick microphones?
Lipstick?
Yeah, so they're the size of a lipstick and they set in front of you.
Oh, okay. So really
And
small.
so if we use that, we could put the owl a little further away for the audience or
Uh-huh.
something like that.
Okay, well, I
I
think,
think Gail included a piece of equipment at the bar. That.
yes.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's more sensitive. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is pretty detailed, Gail forwarded us everything, so what we need to do is we need to execute the grant documents. I did not print those out, I don't know, Haley, you haven't, okay, great. So, and those need to go back in by April 18th, so it'd be great if we could take a vote this evening.
Sure.
So do I hear a motion to accept the grant from the Community Compact Cabinets Information Technology Grant Program from the State Executive Office of Administration and Finance?
So moved with enthusiasm.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Makepeace O'Neill, aye?
Stocker, aye.
Farrell, aye. Do you want us to sign that
That's right
now,
there.
or, oh, they're right there, okay.
I think it only needs one.
Is it only one signature?
There's a couple different pages and then there's one sheet that asks if you want to designate someone to sign the contract. If you want to put my name down.
Okay, you know what, why don't I just do this, 'cause it might take me a little while to figure out what to sign, but you
Sure.
can, if you want, why don't we leave it here, and then let's see if we have, yeah, I just don't wanna hold up the meeting, great. Okay, so, let's see, the next item on the agenda is to discuss snow removal for the town hall and the new library, and Mary Ann is here. I almost thought we were gonna have to do snow removal this morning. I was like, oh my goodness, this is April, everybody, come on.
Winter's coming.
Construction crew would have appreciated some help with snow. removal.
Yeah, I bet, yeah, it was a little slippery out there this morning.
Oh,
So
it's
I know
cooler.
this has come up, and Mary Ann and Gabe have been talking. So what's you have some suggestions for us?
Well, I think that Eric and you have been talking too, and you have a solution, so. why don't we
Alright.
start with that.
Let's start with the
Okay.
solution, yeah.
I do have a solution. We did talk to the highway superintendent and he agreed to what he hopes to do is one of his contractors that he hires for snow and ice removal will do the ice shoveling of the library, this building and the old library. We
Okay.
have to keep that open.
Yeah,
And that shoveling expense will be covered by snow and ice,
okay.
because you're only gonna be shoveling the snow
Mhm.
and ice. And in the summer, we did put into the budget $4,600 for mowing that and some mowing around here. So we added a landscaper salary for, I think it's 4 or 5 months in the summer, so that he can hire somebody to do the mowing. The FinCom has put it in the budget, so it is earmarked in there. So that's how we resolved it. The purview, the employee will be under the highway superintendent. So if you happen to have sidewalks that aren't shoveled, you can call the highway superintendent. And he will get somebody out there. If he has trouble finding someone, then of course he needs to come to the board and tell them that he's having issues.
Mhm.
So he's hoping to do it through one of his snow and ice contractors.
Oh, okay, great. And that will solve I mean, you know, up until now, it's been sort of hit or miss. The police have been doing it, the town administrator has been doing it. We were gonna save it for you, but said.
I missed out.
So we know you said you'd love to shovel snow. But no, it doesn't, it really isn't a good idea just to
And
have it.
I think the
not-
town has a snow, right now, the town has a snow blower too, that police got it somehow.
Yes,
Yes.
police have offered to give up their snow blower, not permanently, but to let it be stored at the highway department so that they can use it, so there wouldn't be a cost of buying a blower.
Right.
Right at the moment.
Mhm.
Right,
That's great.
right.
So do you need anything from us?
No,
Just in the,
now is, yeah,
Mhm.
and it's part of the highway department's budget, and let's hope for mild winters.
yeah.
You know?
And Aprils and Mays.
We might need to add, well, I guess that can let snow ice too, there'll be some sort of maintenance cost with snow, blower, that's all.
Right.
That's one of some,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes, yeah, well, the fuel will probably just be the fuel from the same tanks that they use for,
Right,
it's the same
For the
type of
gas.
gas used for a car, probably.
Right.
Yeah. that's.
But yeah, we'll, as that goes on, work it out, so
Right.
that's great, thank you, thanks to everybody.
Yeah, no,
for working
thanks.
together
Yeah,
to
thank,
come up with this.
Marianne, unless it requires ethanol-free gas, and in that case, you have to buy it separately.
And I'm sure they'll know.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah,
all right, well, thank you for,
Yeah.
following through on that.
yeah, thank you.
Uh,
That was it for me, on the agenda.
Yeah, I think that is. Okay, the next item on the agenda is, to discuss the removal of the beaver dam at the Fisk culvert. And, there's Dave Grenier here, I know, I see Kat Hilton, Beth Wilson, I saw up there at some point.
Howard's here too.
There's Beth, oh, Howie's here, yeah, I was just going through, our dam people. So, it seems like a perennial issue, we got beavers, they have lots of beavers in Amherst too.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. Don't bring any more up here.
Yeah, really.
Okay, so who wants to take the lead on what the plan is for the beaver dam with the Fisk culvert?
What it needs to be.
Okay. We'll start with Howie.
I just checked it again today and he's building again. If they'd have caught it before April 1st, the top of it was gone and it was just where he's putting the dirt and stuff, which is gonna be the hardest part to take up. And it's right below the entrance to the culvert. So it's not in an easy place for him to get at. Also, there is a log that's caught in the middle of the culvert crossways. It's about that big around and 10-foot long, and it's caught right crossways. In fact, the water's going over that right now. Once we do get it cleaned, then it should be, I'll check it, but I can't do what I used to do anymore. And I did give Dave my hook that I used to get it, and you don't have to go in the water if you check it. Actually, after we get it cleaned, you're gonna have to check it daily for a while until it gets totally discouraged.
So the beaver gets removed, is that
Don't worry about it.
they just
That-
knock it all
That's what we did
down?
last year. They didn't mess with the beaver. It would be good if they got rid of the beaver, but you gotta find somebody to do it. And, it's gonna cost you, I would say, a minimum of $1,500, if not more. Cause they charge a lot they have to go through a special course to do it out of season. And the season just ran out
Mhm,
on April.
right. Beth, do you have anything, or Kat, do you wanna add anything, you're Beth there? Doug, do you have something you want to add here? From the Conservation Commission, is this before you for approval?
No, Kat sent around the email about the situation, but, nobody, you know, if highway wants to breach, they can ask for an emergency certification from the Conservation Commission. If they want to breach, and the trapping season actually goes to April 15th. There's one more week. Not that, I mean, if anybody was thinking of that at all, but
Beth, is there a season for dam breaching?
no. It can be anytime, and it's typically handled through an emergency certification from the Conservation Commission.
And you would need that in this case for the dam that's there now? An emergency, of an application for emergency certification?
I can't hear you very well.
Okay, do you need the application for emergency certification now in order for the, to breach the dam?
Yeah, we do. I don't think, if we did issue one for that location, it was a while ago. Like, I haven't issued anything in the past even year, I think, to breach that at that location. So, yeah.
Okay. Is Dave here? I don't see Dave. No. Okay. No, it's another Dave. Yeah, it's Dave Green. What's entailed in that application? You know how complicated is the application for the?
It's not very hard. There's no actual form for an emergency cert. It's really sending photos and identifying why it's an emergency. In the end, I fill out the form, and so I need sort of an authority to declare that it's a threat to human health and safety, which typically would be like the health department. So on the emergency cert, it would say that the health department has declared it to be a threat to human health safety, and that the DPW is going to be the ones doing the work. That would basically be the application. That would be what I would fill in and have the Conservation Commission look at and approve. They would want to do a site visit and just to check it out before they approve the emergency cert.
Okay. All right, so this is something you said would come from Dave, and then just reference the Board of Health and dam keeper, or everybody's in agreement that this is an issue.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay, all right. Okay, so we just, I guess, need to circle back with Dave to make sure he gets that to you. And when do you meet? When does the Conservation Commission meet again?
We're meeting this Thursday.
Okay.
Good timing.
Okay, so sooner that gets in, faster, and then it's the highway department that does the work, or you're gonna need a site visit, you said.
Yeah, we're gonna probably need a site visit if either Kat, or if it's in an email from Kat with Dave sort of CC'd on it, where she's saying that she's determining this to be a threat to human health and safety, therefore we need an emergency cert. And then what Dave basically needs to provide is how he's gonna do the work. If that can all be in sort of one email describing how it's gonna be done and that it's been declared a threat or a health and safety risk, then I can fill in the emergency cert, and that can be issued just by me, actually. It gets ratified by the commission. But I'm assuming I would want a site visit, and so would probably some other members of the COMCOM. So if we could get a site visit this week, that would work.
Okay, so are you good with that, Pat, doing the putting it together and then talking to Dave about how he would approach it?
I can do that now.
Okay, that's great. Okay, that sounds like we have a plan.
One thing I would, just to remember for next year, because it's gonna happen again, if you would do this, if it's a dam, do it before the 1st of April, and it's much easier, because the lake is down
right,
on one side and it's up on the other.
yeah.
Once, now it's same level all the way through.
Mhm,
And that log, like I say, is underwater
yeah,
because of it.
so it's gonna be a little tricky to get out.
Well, it shouldn't be that bad. You could, my committee put a chain around one end, run it out to the backhoe and just give it a pull, and it's either gonna go in the lake or come back.
Okay. And Dave has been out there, like,
Yeah.
Dave's been there, he's looked at this.
I haven't seen him since last fall.
We can check.
So I don't know.
I know, he had said he had been out there, and then the person that inspected the culvert
Yeah.
took pictures and some very nice pictures looking at the dam through the culvert.
Okay.
So there's some good pictures.
Okay. All right, good. So we have a plan and you'll follow through with Dave and yeah, the timing works. Yeah, works well. If we can get everything for Thursday.
Okay, no, sounds good.
Great, great. Thanks, Beth.
Thanks, Beth.
Thank you, Howie and
They're
Ken.
good.
I think we're good. Yeah, you don't need anything from us. We don't need to vote, right? You're just, yeah, you get the approval and we're on board too. Great, thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda is to review and sign the adoption of a new procurement card policy and procedure.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa.
Big
I read
stuff.
through it, so,
Yeah.
okay, can you just give us a little bit of background on this?
So the town had a credit card for a long time, and so we had some difficulty paying the bills. And so the banks have cut us off. And so that caused a huge problem because we were having to use our personal credit cards and, you know, the sales tax and all of that was an issue. So when we came here, I worked with Ryan and he beat the bushes to find a company who would give us a credit card. And he did that. The name is kind of funky, but he found us a credit card.
Some loan sharks out of New York.
Meetings, credit cards, yeah.
As long as we pay the bill at the end of every month.
We don't
So-
get shot or.
Right. So, he and I both agreed that a credit card policy was necessary whenever you have some of this. You distribute the policy to everyone, they know the rules, the policy will be given to Gail to post. All the department heads will get a copy. It basically says how you go to Brennan and Brennan will do the ordering, and if Brennan has to give you the card, because you have to take it to Pete's Tire Barn, for example. You check it out like a library card, you bring your invoice back and Brennan is keeping track of the invoices. Ryan is keeping track of the bill. So we've worked a system out that, you know, we've got the invoice, Gail pays the bill, the check goes to Ryan, Ryan gets the bill and pays it. So there's no $39 finance charge and there's no bad credit.
Right.
So we did have a little bit of bad credit.
Because it wasn't getting paid.
Because it wasn't getting paid. So this policy is kind of a standard, so that everybody is aware of the system, and it has put us back on the map.
Right.
So we have settled, our website is now all hooked up appropriately to that credit card. So there should never be a distress call that we're being shut down in 12 hours or whatever it was.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've changed all of that over. So that's kind of it.
And is it, so it's $2,000, it's not per like
It-
department, it's
No,
$2,000.
it's permanent. We've already run into a problem finding a couple of things that put us over the $2,000
Yeah.
limit. Postage, $700 worth of postage. We had to split that in half. Once our credit is established for a little while,
Get it increased.
we can ask them to increase it. I think we need to show them that we're going to consistently pay, and then maybe in a year or maybe 6 month point, Ryan can ask for an increase.
Okay. I thought procurement card was so interesting. Procurement card? What is that?
It's all that legalese.
What is, and it says that it's not necessarily a free and open thing
Right,
to be
he doesn't
using.
want
Yeah.
it just used to go buy paper clips, you
Right.
know, it's.
Right.
He wants it to be used properly when we actually have to have a card. And unfortunately, towns can't operate without them anymore. Everybody wants you to pay automatically. Word, Office, all your website people, they do require that sort of thing.
Yeah.
so. And we have to be careful. The sales tax part of that policy is important.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the treasurer gets stuck writing a check out of his personal account to pay for the sales tax.
yeah, no,
And
and,
he can't do that. I mean, it's not fair.
right,
Not when we have a sales tax exemption.
Right,
exemption.
right.
So people have to be aware when they get that policy that if they do not get the sales tax waived. they
they're
are
gonna have to pay for it.
responsible
Yep,
for it.
yeah, no, I think that's a good, yeah, that's a good way of making sure people pay attention.
And they know it before.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's great, thank you
Yeah.
for,
I
for
only
putting
have
that
one
together.
edit. Can we put the seal on it?
Oh, the seal on it,
I
yeah.
have this thing, Haley, with it, it's official. I like the seal on it.
Yep,
I have it electronically if you guys don't, but you
We have it. I think I just took it from what Brian wrote and I didn't. get
Yeah.
it up.
No, that's fine. It's just,
Yeah.
you know,
it's great, no, this is,
the seal of
yeah,
approval.
this is,
Yeah.
yep,
Thank you very
Yes.
much to Ryan and Gabe for figuring out how to get a card
Yeah.
here and to help us with
And
that.
for Ryan
problem that-
for-
Yes.
yep,
both
drafting this.
these.
Yeah. And,
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Gabe, could you please put this as an attached document to the agenda? Since this is a written policy, it's going to be approved by the select board, yes? It will become a select board policy.
It's on the docket, on the agenda.
yeah, yeah, so you're just talking about documents used, when the minutes are done, documents used at the,
Select board meeting.
at the select board meeting.
Right, but on the agenda, at my town gov, there's a place where you can actually attach the PDF of the document, so I could refer to that.
Okay,
Brennan can investigate that,
yeah,
attaching that document, Brennan.
okay,
Okay,
I'll just,
To the
yeah,
agenda.
make a
As
note,
a
yeah.
PDF, always do not post anything with a Word document.
right. Thank you, thank you.
Okay, so do I hear a motion to approve the town of Shutesbury's procurement card policy and procedures?
So moved, again,
Second.
with enthusiasm.
Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Make peace in your life.
Starker, right?
Farrell, aye. Thank you again. That's great to get that taken care of. I know it's been an issue for a lot of people, so it's good to get that cleared up. Okay, the next item on the agenda is a follow-up to the Lake Wyola Boating and Safety Public Forum, which we had last week.
Thursday.
Last Thursday. Time flies. I know I saw Matt Barwick here, who's the chair of the committee. But first I thought, at first I thought maybe the select board, if we have thoughts about. So this, Haley, just for your information, we have a 9-person committee that was appointed last fall. Because issues have been raised around safety, boating safety, swimming safety down at Lake Wyola. And the committee has been meeting, and then the select board sponsored a public forum, and it was a pretty good turnout. I'm not sure. how
So
many
there was a
people-
total between those in the room. I
Yeah.
had someone count their heads.
Oh, okay.
From our angle, it was a little hard to tell, but from in the room, which was about 79, to those online, it was about 130, 139.
Yeah, yeah, it was a lot of
And-
people.
And it
Yeah.
was our first tech involved hybrid large meeting.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, we hadn't done that before. We did it at the elementary school, and it worked
It did
really well. You know, it was great. And thank you to
I was-
Melissa for
Yeah, no kidding.
pulling, and
I will be
Eric
fully-
was on the sound,
Yeah.
Melissa was on
I
the
was
tech,
fully on
and
it.
I was just there as.
I was completely surprised it was that good.
No, I mean, not only did the logistics work
Yeah.
well, but I felt like, everybody was on their best behavior.
Yeah.
It was a very, civil discussion. People were prepared. We got written comments as well as,
Yeah, I saw a couple. of them.
yeah, yes, so, anyway, I just wanted to talk about kind of next steps, I think there are, differing of opinions, so we have a bylaw that hasn't been updated since 2014. The
Okay.
charge to the committee was to look at the bylaw, also to look at, enforcement issues, with the bylaw. And there was a third thing that I'm
think
just
it was
forgetting.
education.
Education, yeah, so education and enforcement. And, the committee's been meeting pretty regularly. Now that we've had this public forum, it's an opportunity for us to hear, from folks. I mean, when we got the committee organized, there were, we had some discussions, but since the committee's been underway, so any thoughts from the select board, questions? I know the chief, I think, is here too. Kristen, Chief
Matt-
Burgess is
Matt's
here,
here
and
too.
Matt, yeah, I recognize him.
Okay.
So a couple of things that I noticed, as people were speaking, I think we had a great cross-section of the users of the lake.
Yep.
From the non-motorized things, swimmers, kayakers, to the motorized all the way up. And I think everybody spoke very thoughtfully, and, there was a lot of ideas, and I think we could feel some of their concerns or their anxiousness around even the committee forming, which I think, was important for us to know. I think, so those are the kind of things I picked up from that. It seems to be a nature to the lake that there is, sometimes that are slower than others, the suggestions of segmented times for different activities, then that there's only 3 months of use with the lake, so there's so many things that play that I don't know that even we thought about in a lot of ways. So those are some of my takeaways.
No, I agree. It seemed like a very good meeting to me, and it did raise the question to me of like whether or not there'd be a way that everybody could be happy with, where they, ideally it's the time people could swim like you said, non-motorized. Well, I don't know how to do that, but if it's possible to do that, it seemed like that would be the way to do it, one way to do it.
So some of the things I thought about after that evening was, it felt to me, hearing from, both sides, and everybody's pretty passionate, about kind of their, what they want to see happen with the lake. But, I think it would be useful for this board to meet with the committee. And, I personally would like to see you reopen the discussion about the committee reopen the discussion about the bylaw. Just, hearing from whether or not, nobody, again, everybody was there are a lot of people very worried about like the banning of motorboats. I don't think that's anybody's intention. But, are there accommodations that could be made? And should they be made through the bylaw? And, I think there's some proposals out there. We got some, some things in writing, and heard some, in the testimony that evening. So, I wanted to offer that up as kind of, it sounds like that was a little bit of the way you were thinking too. Is there, can we address some of those concerns, without, as a lot of people said, this has been a way of life for generations, and, everybody wants to enjoy the lake, and I think we need to, see how can we live happily together and, you know, address the safety issues, at the same time. Matt, do you wanna?
Yeah, no, sure. I'll chime in here as well, but thank you guys for putting that meeting together. I thought it was really great. A lot of really great content, a lot of great discussion. I think it was great to have everybody in one spot so that everybody could share their diversity of opinions and thoughts that way. I think, you know, I picked up, you know, several items I want to bring back to the committee, and we have a meeting tomorrow. And I did put on the agenda the recap and kind of discuss kind of like what you guys did. You know, what did we learn from the public hearing, public discussion? Then I did put on the agenda as well, you know, talking about the bylaws. I've given it a lot of thought in generalities of, you know, little tweaks and thoughts that might accommodate a lot of people's, you know, kind of concerns and more about safety. I do think the education component is a big deal. I have some proposed signage that I'm going to share with the committee tomorrow that I've developed with the help of my graphic designer at work. So got some free pro bono work done for us that way. But I thought overall it was good. I think it is worth, like you said, to discuss a few ideas. There's a few, like even one bylaw that it's not congruent with like DCR, and there's probably some cleanup that we need to do. And I think you heard from multiple committee members on why they chose to vote the way they did when they were at the meeting, which I think, you know, gave some context versus thinking it was just a rash decision. There was thought process that was involved. So I like to go back to the committee with some ideas tomorrow, and then ultimately see what that discussion leads to. And do we make some adjustments? Do we take another vote? But I think, you know, so many good ideas came in during the conversations that it's worthy to at least, you know, surface that conversation with the committee again.
Great. So do you want to then get back to the select board? And we can, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to
How
give
often are
you.
you meeting?
We meet like every 2 weeks. So we have a meeting next week, and then 2 weeks after that is our next scheduled one. But happy to stop in between if you like, and give you kind of that conversation. If you want to put me on the agenda, I'm happy to give a you know, what do we come up with on the next call that we're going to have tomorrow.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So why don't you get back to us after tomorrow, and then we can, you know, discuss.
I know we were kind of hitting some time sensitivity too. If there were to be augmentations or changes, we want to be able to get those to you. I didn't know if you had a drop time frame for that based on town meetings.
Yeah, so the town meeting is on May 31st, and I don't know, on your second day, if getting the warrant is like the last week in April.
Yeah, there's still some time.
Yeah, we have a little bit of room.
Sooner the better.
The sooner the better, yeah. We have a lot of warrant articles this year. You know, I would say it wouldn't necessarily need to be rushed. I mean, it's something that could be done at a special town meeting. So, you know, it's better to have it done thoughtfully and thoroughly than try to rush something to town meeting that isn't completely. Yeah, so. Rhea, I see your hand up.
Yes, thank you very much. I don't want to repeat everything everybody said, but I thought it was an awesome meeting. And I want to just kind of reiterate that I actually don't see it's like one side or the other. I think we're all on the same side of safety, and that is key for not only people who use the lake, but the town itself. And another factor that came up to my attention is that the children at the camp that is on the road there, they're being transported 40 minutes to Tully because of safety concerns on the lake. So that wasn't really brought to address, but that is something to really note, and I'm sure that Matt will allow that to be discussed at the meeting tomorrow night. And for anybody online right now, I'm on the meetings or on the committee, so I want to be transparent about that. But I'm really hoping that we can kind of go with the proposal that I mentioned, which is actually to continue with the bylaws as they are, so we collect data this summer, because we're really making judgments without any actual data other than that there was an accident. So I would love to see something like the police department doing some work with some of the boaters and actually clocking the speed to make sure that we're having adequate speed limits, and maybe actually even increasing the speed limit to make it really normalized for a solemn skier, for instance, because we have like world-class skiers there, and to look at some timelines. So yeah, thank you for even being open to continue to working with the committee to continue looking at the bylaws, that this is a long-term process and not something we can make overnight. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Matt, so we'll hear back from you. I don't want to shut down comments, but we're trying to get Haley out of here. We have
No worries. No,
So-
I'll plan to regroup. Again, I have a kind of a presentation for the team, for the committee tomorrow.
Great.
We'll socialize some ideas and we'll see where they go. And I think,
Okay.
you know, there are some options we can discuss.
Great. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for all your work.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the Stormwater Erosion Task Force, and Jennifer Wallace is here. Jennifer, I know we wanted to talk about the award from Franklin Regional Council of Governments for the, I think it's like district, local technical assistance they're going to be giving you. But I would also ask, you know, at the same time, you guys are working on an application for the Rural Development Fund. It's actually the town's application, but if you could just kind of give us the update on what FERCog is going to be doing, and then also what we need to be, we the select board and Haley need to be aware of in terms of the Rural Development Fund grant application.
Okay, great. Let's start with FERCog first. So yes, Shutesbury was selected, and the work of the Stormwater Erosion Task Force was selected for their direct local technical assistance. We had a meeting, and they have proposed a scope of work that includes assistance in grant applications, as well as identifying additional funding sources and grant opportunities. Most welcome. All of this is to implement the recommendations that were made in their watershed-based plan. Let me just go back to say that our charge was to provide the select board with recommendations of how to move forward on that plan. So we have endorsed and we have discussed with you the recommendation to seek an engineering firm to do a hydrologic and hydraulic study, along with a geomorphic study of the Fisk Brook area. So FERCog is reviewing the draft of the Rural Development Fund application as part of this direct technical assistance. They're doing that right now. I haven't, you know, I guess I have some questions about, now we have Haley, you know, is this really, I'm happy to keep it going, and I have this already working relationship with FERCog. So there are some logistics about how that should be done, but let me finish on the update first. And FERCog also has some grant money themselves to provide another form of technical assistance. And they're proposing a scope of work that involves public education and community engagement around stormwater issues. And they have a whole scope of work that they've drafted, which includes X number of public workshops. Those could happen, you know, at town hall, at the library, at the Lake Wyola Association. They would walk through not only their plan, but what private property and towns and organizations like the Lake Whale Association can do to minimize sediment delivery to the lake. And it would be all about public education and community engagement, which is helpful because that is a component of the Rural Development Fund application, where they'd like to hear what kind of community engagement has been done and will be done around this project. So
Yeah, that's sort of perfect. It's a great kind of confluence of,
yeah. So,
Okay,
and we had kind of framed it in our discussions as kind of capacity building, you know, because we're building the capacity of the town, of people around the lake, of people who are, you know, part of the association and the DCR and others about, you know, what's happening and what could be done on an individual and an institutional level to mitigate that. So I thought it was a great idea, and I don't know if the process is for them to convert that from a draft to a scope of work that they would send to the select board. And I don't know if there are contracts involved. I don't know what the process for that is.
yeah, I don't know what it is either, but you know, whatever they need from us, you know, if it's public education and community engagement on stormwater issues, I think that would be great.
Great. Okay, good. So I can just let them know that, and they knew I was going to bring this up with you tonight. So I can let them know that, yeah, you're all for it, and then they'll know what to do. And
They'll know, right, they'll tell us.
they'll convert this draft into what they would need to send to the town.
And as far as the application, I'm going to speak on Haley's behalf. The more you guys get done. She's a really full plate. So, you know, I would say if FERCog is willing to, you know, help put the Rural Development Fund application together. And it looks like, you know, I saw the GZA proposal on the hydrologic and whatever, H&H study. So that, I mean, it seems like you have.
Yeah, so this is good. So these are some of my questions, and I don't know, I talked to Eric at the reception today of what, you know, these are kind of like working session, you know, like I have very granular level questions, which could be done in this setting of your board meeting, or then I don't know if the select board ever has like working meetings with committees. I can tell you my questions now if you'd like, and we could talk about them, but it's probably about 20 minutes worth of discussion.
An email.
Yeah, if you could just send them to us, and then if they can be handled without the board having to do it, like Haley might be able to handle it. And if it needs to be brought back to the board, we'll figure it out. Just tell me the deadline was like May.
Right. So it's
something?
June 4th is the deadline.
Oh, okay.
June 4th. Now the application's pretty well drafted. I mean, I would say I have all but maybe 2 or 3 items to update, especially based on this community engagement thing that FERCog would do, and they're reviewing it. So, and now I'm leaving on almost a month-long vacation starting on April 30th. So that's,
it would get it before
it'd be
then.
good to get it kind of in really excellent shape. And I will be back on the 26th of May, so there is that period of time. But Tom Seifert, who's on our task force, has volunteered to be kind of the lead person for the task force in terms of finalizing the application, if Haley or anybody else has questions. But I think that that should be a pretty good thing. And let me look at my notes here and just see, oh, I should say this as far as updates. So GZA has also added, Mark Rivers and LWAC were really strong advocates of folding in the geomorphic study of the Fisk Brook area, especially with the increase in the number of beaver dams.
Yeah.
This geomorphic engineering is slightly different. It's looking at water, but also land forms and so on. And GZA can add that in at a very small cost. So they've recast their proposal to include both of those studies. which has,
Yeah, that's,
put that all in my email to you.
oh, okay.
Very good.
Yeah, so if you do that and then give us a list of questions that you have for the select board. So I'd forgotten, I guess I was thinking about when you were leaving as,
Yeah, no, we have more time. And then
We have
the
more-
last thing is that this is, I think, really positive too, is that I do update LWAC and the Lake Wylie Association periodically. And I talked to them about the rural development grant because they have said in their guidelines that applications are more competitive if there's a 10% match. So 10% is about $8,000, and the Lake Wylie Association is voting next week to say that they would pick up 5% of that 10% match.
that's great. Is any, do you recall if any of it can be an in-kind contribution where it's
No,
not a?
I don't think on this particular one, in-kind is looking like it's not itemized as part of the match. But there are other things I'll talk about in my email, letters of support. I know Joe Comerford's office was support, so there's some things to pick up to strengthen the application, but I'll put that all in the email.
Great, great. All right. Well, thank you. Thanks so much for all your work on this.
Thank you for being behind it.
Yeah, well, we're making some headway on some grant
I
stuff
think
around
so,
here.
yeah, that's really good. Keep my fingers crossed about that. Okay,
Okay.
well, and if there's no other questions for me, then I'll just write an email with everything in it.
Great. Thanks so much, Jennifer.
Bye.
Thank you.
All right, we're getting down to the wire here. We have a proposal to for an article for town meeting to remove the farm bylaw. And I know Gail Fleischaker had taken a look at this and gave us some language, and the Farm and Forest Commission was established in 2009. It's been not doing much. I think we like to get stuff off the books if it's no longer functioning. So I would be in favor, and we can draft an article. It does have to go to town meeting. We'll be approving the warrant at some point, not too distant future. So do I hear a motion to delete the Shutesbury Farm and Forest Commission bylaw of 2009? So moved.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Make use of your aye.
Dr. I.
Carol, aye. One commission off. Check that.
We're usually adding.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
We add
committees,
them up.
commission, right. But thank you, Gail, for following through. Gail has been paying very close attention to all our boards and committees, and so that was good. Okay, so I just have a couple of housekeeping things quickly. I'm sorry, we had a letter, I skipped over it. Okay, so we have a letter for, to send to our senator and a representative to Senator Comerford and Representative Saunders regarding our support of an act relative to the Quabbin watershed and regional equity, which very quickly is, the best part of it is it's asking to create the MWRA to create a $35 million annual trust fund to serve the watershed communities. And creates a payment in lieu of taxes, and we are in support. It's I'm not sure it's going anywhere, but it would be great if we can, yes. So
I will make a motion that we sign the letter to Saunders and Comerford.
Okay.
For the Quabbin watershed.
Yeah, and it's going to the Joint Committee on
Joint
Environment, yeah.
Second.
Second, okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Make peace on the eye.
Stalker,
Carol, aye. Okay,
And I can send it. for-
so,
we sign.
yeah,
I can.
you want us to sign it now? Okay.
Sure.
I gotta sign that stuff too. So just a couple of housekeeping things, we have a couple of meetings to schedule around the police chief contract. One is just a select board review of, a new draft of the contract. And I was hoping we can do this week and then schedule a, session with the police chief for next week. Is Kristen still here?
No.
No, all right, so we just need to find her availability. So I was gonna propose that we meet at 12 o'clock on Friday, which is the time that worked for you,
Yes,
Melissa?
yeah, 12.
Okay, does that work for you? This coming Friday?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll just talk to you about getting it up. And then, we also, just need to schedule a time with Kristen, and maybe we can give when our if we're not available anytime, find out when she's available. I mean, I think I'm pretty flexible next week, but, okay, so, town administrator report.
I'm good next week. I'm
You're good?
available.
So it's only my second day, so this is a very brief report. There is a representative from the Collins Center who wants to present, his findings on the Phase 2 Quabbin Fire District Study. I'm happy to schedule that. If anyone wants to go, just tell me what times work or don't work for you. So he wants to do this sometime in early May.
So, does he want to do it at a select board meeting, do you think, or no?
His email is a little vague. It says he would just like to present it to the 4 town administrators, so Shutesbury, Wendell, Leverett, and New Salem, but I thought I would extend it to you all as well.
We're
he's
happy
got
to
some
have you.
maps.
Happy to have you
Got
go.
one? Okay. I can do that.
Yeah, happy to have you go with the other, yeah.
And then
Yeah.
I have things for you to sign.
Okay, do you want, I can do.
I have something
Then-
really quick.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, you do, okay,
I forgot, it's mine, I didn't ask you to tell you.
okay,
So, David Burgess is going to be retiring on June 30th, if you're not aware of that. The assessors have met and reviewed what they are going to try to do. So they have a plan, but one of the plan ideas was to talk to Regional Resource. And David's been told that Regional Resource is at max capacity and they don't think they can take us on. That does create a problem because assessors are rare. And, I did call, Lori Tarati, left a message to see if she could come help.
he's
us.
in Amherst, yeah, I mean, she lives,
She's in Pelham.
oh, no, okay.
To see if she's willing to help us while we solve this problem. The other lady that we had thought of in Montague, Sheldon has already stolen. We didn't even have a shot to try to ask her. So
Oh, darn.
it goes really
Yeah.
fast because a lot, there's
There.
nobody new going into the business
Yeah.
of assessing. So that's the only thing I would add. So you're aware.
So,
of that.
so we're hustling to find somebody after
We're
David.
this meeting to review the job description.
Okay,
And so we do need to keep we need to keep an eye on this
yeah,
and make sure it moves along because it's May and 3 weeks. That means he leaves in June.
right,
You
Yeah.
got. you've
yeah,
got
we have to
time
keep,
Right.
for
yeah.
fall. Yeah.
okay.
And then I just have a quick thing. It's about Kristen's post attestation.
Oh.
Thing. She and I worked on it last year. This one, it does have the TA come in. So, if you two are okay, I'll work with Haley to get that done
Okay.
with post.
Okay, okay, great,
Okay.
yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna approve me signing all this stuff, but I just wanna make sure I'm signing the right place. Okay, so do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Still moved.
Second.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Thank you so much.
Stover, aye.
Farrell, aye. Okay, thanks very much. One meeting down.
And your last one, Gabe.
Yeah.